7 billion people on the planet, every single person has their own spirit, their own RUH. And getting to discuss with others and interacting with them and finding out not only what you have, what differences there are, but what you guys have in common, that's the amazing thing, because we're all so different, but we're all exactly the same. We're all just people trying to figure out where we fit in the bigger picture.
Spirituality is all about connection. It's about our connection to ourselves and our souls and our spirits, and thus our connection to Allah. Spirituality and Islam, I think both of them actually go hand in hand. I don't think they're two separate entities. I think that everything we're required to do in Islam, like praying and fasting and going to Hajj and giving charity, I think all of those are about consciousness and awareness and about this internal improvement.
I was given an opportunity within this body to be able to live out my life, right? And it's an opportunity, it's a blessing. And but this body, this world, like this time, when you think about like body and soul, it's like it's all very temporary. But like your soul carries with you, right? Your soul carries with you to the afterlife.
Spirituality is the language of your spirit, of your very existence. Surrendering to Allah and really just taking the chains of the dunya, of your life, that we are so bound to, and just day after day trying to break those chains and sincerely reconnect with Allah.
Spirituality is a constant struggle. For example, if you take an example of a pianist, when that pianist learns to play a tune, the way he gets better is by practicing and taking chances and trying to connect to the tune that he already believes in. And similarly, spirituality with a person is a constant struggle.
You can't really know who you are or where you're going if you don't know where you've been or where you come from.
I really feel like I sort of became Muslim when I became I started to become something that actually means something. It wasn't just like a mechanical ritual that you just had to do.
I don't know how to describe it, but I just decided that I wanted to live my life in a certain way, of very consciously practicing Islam, and I think that a lot of it was a result of Islam being within my comfort zone. I was at home and I was with my family and that. But I think the more difficult times have been throughout college when I'm not at home and I'm not so connected to my family, or there have been times when I'm not so connected to Islam or my spirituality, where I've really had to sit down and think about not so much am I Muslim, but how much of this am I going to implement into my daily life practices.
I don't think I've ever really thought about that, because growing up it was something that I was born into, so I didn't ever think about when I chose it. And I think after going to Sunday school and having conversations with my parents and engaging in those conversations about what Islam is, what I've been learning at Sunday school, things that sometimes were taught to me that didn't necessarily settle right with me.
I think questioning the teachings and the fundamentals sometimes has been able to, for me, fulfill my strong convictions and beliefs on Islam.
I know there was a moment, as a teenager, once you're in that space of you're no longer a kid and just listening to everything that you hear, once you start once you're old enough to really think about why we do things. I think that was one of my first moments of okay, yeah, this is why I'm a Muslim and this is why I'll continue to be Muslim.
A moment in my life where I knew that Islam was the truth. Just remember feeling this overwhelming presence, and I knew that it was the call. It was, I guess you could say, it was the call of my Creator to come to Him and seek forgiveness.
To be in front of the Kaaba and we were going around there, like I did feel like small moments of interconnectedness with the people around me, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with the religion. It is really crowded, and everyone's trying to make sure that they get done what they want to get done, and I feel like some of it gets lost on us, that all of us are there for the same purpose. And it wasn't until I came back and I felt more of a sense of peace in my heart after going, and I think that's totally okay. I think that being away from there and still feeling a connectedness to there, that spiritual experience for me was a big deal. And I remember I actually went to a milad a couple months after, and they were specifically saying this knot that's about the Kaaba, and it actually made me tear up, and like that's when I felt a little bit more connected. And I think it's, again, okay to have a little bit of a lag.
I was making tawaf with my family, and we were trying to get closer to the Kaaba and trying to get inside the Hatim, and then we also wanted to touch the Kaaba and make dua there. And I remember I got there with my dad and my brother, and I was just waiting for people to kind of get their moment, you know, because it's really crowded and it's very hot and congested. And I just see this one lady, she's probably like in her late 50s, she just grabs me and she takes me and she pushes me towards the Kaaba, and she kind of like forms a human barrier around me, and she just like gives me that moment. And I just thought like that was just so like kind and sweet of her to do that.
So for me, strictly, it has never been a huge struggle in terms of like where my faith was questioned. Everybody has been so understanding when it comes to like events of me not drinking, me have like when I have to exercise, I have to do my prayers. To the extent that I had a group of friends with whom I would go out, and like they would just drink and everything, even if like I go to their house. To be honest, like there was a time when they literally would stop music and remind me that I had to do my Maghrib prayer.
I've struggled with trying to find, you know, a peaceful balance. I think in this world you have to balance a lot of things, especially as a young professional Muslim. You are entering into fields that don't know a lot about you, don't understand your perspective, and you again have to be comfortable with yourself and what you ultimately want out of this life instead of what other people expect out of you or want you to be.
My biggest struggle as a young Muslim has probably been like, how conscious am I of my spirituality on like a daily basis, and my little thoughts and actions, and just like how thoughtful I am about it, because that will affect my choices.
Whether you're living in the West and you go to school and mostly everybody else isn't Muslim, I think it's important to find those spaces of Muslims, and not just Muslims, but Muslims who, you know, you feel like you're best around. It's always important to go back to the bigger picture of what is Islam, who is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and what's our purpose in this life. And then also really addressing what the block is. You know, if you have doubts, or if you're struggling with following something and it's just making you feel like, you know, like whatever, where that is coming from. What do I love most about our Prophet? The fact that following our Prophet, like, that's honestly the answer to life. It's like, what would he do? Following the Sunnah, that brings us closer to him, that brings us closer to being the best person that we can be. And alhamdulillah, it's a gift.
Well, for me, pre-law, right, like he was often cited as like a man of reason, and so people would go to him to resolve disputes all the time. He was considered like a great mediator of his area. Like people from different cities would be sent to resolve disputes based on his word, and they would go back to their city and then enact based on his word. So like that is pretty cool, and that like just from like a jurisprudence or like a judicial standpoint, like that is pretty awesome. That like his practice of like being this mediator and like piecing through things, reading like the different ways that he used to resolve disputes and be a mediator has definitely like trickled into the way I think.
My favorite thing is the amount of sabr he had. The amount of like, he had such a big heart that he forgave his worst enemies. The people who treated him so bad, he forgave them. That is one thing that I love about him, and that's one thing that I would like to implement in my life.
Surah Imran, and but Allah is your protector and He is the best of helpers. And I think that's just like something like, I feel like there's so many times where I felt like, oh, I don't have someone to talk to help me with the situation, but there's always like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is always there, so that's all you need.
If you make an act with good intentions, whatever happens, you will still be rewarded for that good intention.
It's the fact that when we're born, when we're in our mother's womb, an angel comes to us, and they really impart our soul, our ruh into us. And we have that for our entire lives. And they write down our livelihood, our deeds, our death, and whether we're doomed or blessed.
I think it requires us to be more comfortable with different things that other people struggle with, right? We are really familiar with our struggles and the things we have a hard time with.
Don't stop believing in Allah's power, right? Don't ever, because you have no idea what He can do. He can change things so quickly, and He can change things for the better. And you'll be like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. Like when you're gonna look back, you're gonna be like, oh my God. And then you'll start to realize that Allah has been with you this whole time, so just don't lose your connection with Allah.
Think about how amazing it is that an angel of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes to us, gives us our spirit that we're with for the rest of our lives, and that on the day of judgment, we go and we present this to God. But we have that whole time in between that we can do so many different things. We can meet so many people. We can do so much good in this world. And so that at the end of the day, when we do go to Allah and we say, this is who we are, here are our deeds, we can be proud of it. We can stand by it and say, I'm proud to be a Muslim. This is what I did to make the world a better place. And I am proud to be one of your creations.